Hey, friends, welcome to the Next Best Thing podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Cline-Thomas. Now, I'm here to help you live a life that you design instead of choosing a life you think you have to settle for. First off, thank you so much. I've gotten personal messages about last week's episode with Laverne McKinnon, where we talked about how to navigate career grief. And people have told me how much it has resonated with them. And if you missed the episode, please go back and take a listen or watch it on YouTube. It goes deep. I am proud of all the episodes, but this one really is among my top 5, I would say. It has a really special place in my heart, especially the timing of the episode, since so many people are being laid off and there's so much uncertainty in so many industries. And it's not just about the grief that you might feel in this moment. This is for anybody who has ever had an abrupt transition, or as Laverne said it, I love when she said this, a bad goodbye. That might manifest as anger, that might manifest as imposter syndrome, that might manifest in a lot of different ways, but it might actually just be grief. And the sooner you can name it as grief, one, the sooner you could probably give yourself a whole lot more compassion when you're reflecting and really trying to emerge from what you've been through. And Laverne's story, really quickly, is that she was a high power executive at CBS. She is part of the team that brought like CSI to our TV screens every week. And she was blindsided by a layoff. So she was devastated by it, decimated is what she said. And yes, she went on and got new opportunities, but the unacknowledged grief always clouded her experience in these new opportunities. And it took her 10 years to recognize that she was experiencing grief. 10 years, again, had other positions, high powered positions from there. And in those new positions, she was not really managing her grief well. But once she could name it, it gave her kind of a new lease on life, a new perspective, and changed the trajectory of her career. So if you're experiencing grief right now in this moment, or if you've had a bad goodbye at any time, she really challenged me to think about how I've processed the last 2.5 years and more work that, quite frankly, I need to do with it. Please, please, please check out that episode. That is, I just am top 5 for sure. I love all the episodes, but that one, I really think it's going to be a balm to people. I know it already has been, and it will continue to be. And if it doesn't apply to you, please send it to somebody who it applies to, because we all know people who are going through a lot of ups and downs right now. To that end, what I want to talk to you about today, it's just you and I today, is as I'm thinking about this podcast, I'm thinking about what my role is, how I can use my gifts in these moments. When I'm thinking about the transitions that a lot of people are experiencing and how I'm navigating my own, and how I now have a part of my business through the Rewrite and the Next Best Thing community. We have the Next Best Thing community now, where we're doing the work. It's about, we have experts come in, we roll up our sleeves, and we are doing the work. And I'm trying to create more accountability around what that work looks like. And in entering this year, Octavia Rahim, who I interviewed last year, really set the stage for how I approach things right now, saying, are there problems? Yes. Is it my problem to solve? And really only doing what I believe is my problem to solve. And I think my problem to solve in this moment is helping all of you see yourselves clearly and returning the pen back to you so you can rewrite your story, so you can find your next, and having you really understand that your next is not in somebody else's hands, that you take your power back and saying that your next is actually in your hands and you can do something about it. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Nothing is ever easy, but you can actually do something about it. And so I go back to when I didn't know what to do, because I wasn't that long ago and I'm still figuring a lot of things out. That was part of the reason why I started this podcast, was because I was in the midst of my own transition. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I want to talk about not knowing what to do, because in the years prior, because I have been secretly kind of a self-help junkie, I'm always studying success and habits, and I'm fascinated by people's mindsets. That's why I became a journalist. I'm fascinated to understand why people do what they do and how they get certain outcomes. And so I started this podcast because when I was reading books about navigating change, I didn't feel like it applied to me. I just couldn't see myself in these stories. I didn't feel like the advice was realistic. I wasn't going to go, the advice, especially for women, is go to the golf course, go play golf with, I'm not going to nobody's golf course. And I wasn't in a corporate environment where that was even applicable. Or the conversations were about how people started. Oh, I started in the hood and now I'm a multimillionaire. Well, what happened in the middle? What happened in the middle? So I started this podcast because I could not find the information that I needed at scale of the messy middle. How did you know how to take that risk? When did you know that was a good leap to make? When did you know that was the right time? How did you meet that person who put you on? Those are the things that I wanted to know. And that's why I started the podcast, is to get the information about the messy middle. And I've interviewed people, if you're an OG here, from all kinds of industries, from finance to, fashion, media to entrepreneurship. And what I've learned in these, we're almost at 100 episodes, PS, guys. So there have been more than 70 that have been interviews. There are certain themes that it doesn't matter the industry of what people have done that have led them to success in their transition. From the thread of those themes to the research that I had been reading over the years, and also my personal experience, I've come up with what I'm calling the Empower Framework. And this is the framework that is not a one and done. This is a framework that I use to assess my actions as I continue to navigate this new terrain. I still think it's been just over 2.5 years, and I still think it's new. I'm facing new things every single day. And this is what I refer back to. This is something that I've shared with some people, and they've had a great reaction to it. So I want to make sure that I share it with you and let me know what you think. So it's called the Empower Framework, and it's an acronym. So the first E is evaluate. Now, when something happens, something pops off, you lose your job, you have a tense conversation with your boss, everyone's, okay, I'm gone. I'm just going to jump. I'm just going to jump to here. Well, hold on. I'm going to need you to evaluate. I'm going to need you to pause. I'm going to need you to assess. Because if we have not thought about where we have been, we truly, as the old adage goes, you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. That applies here too. So I want you to ask yourself, where is the friction? What are you truly mad at? What worked? Sometimes it's the negativity that pulls us, but let's not, even in negative spaces, there has to be something good about what worked. What do we need to duplicate in this next experience that we're hoping to create for ourselves? Where's the friction? And sometimes when those are too big of questions to ask yourself, maybe what's your ideal day? How do you like to be managed? What do you need in a boss? For me, when I was evaluating, I went back to my Nashville newsroom, one of the best jobs I've ever had in my whole life. And I have deconstructed that thing backwards and forwards. What made it such an amazing place for me to work? Well, one, I was working with people who were passionate about their jobs. They were real about it. They weren't phoning it in. They weren't, oh, I'm just here until my kid goes to college. I'm ready for retirement. You know, we all have the grump McGrumps at work. They didn't work there. It was an environment where people helped other people out. It was an environment where they actually cared about you as a whole person, not just what you produced. It's an environment where people were respected. Even if they did something wrong, they were shown respect. It's an environment where that felt like a community. It's an environment where people who had high up positions weren't driven so much by ego, and they would talk to you and help you and seek help from you. You know, you weren't too low on the totem pole. Our managers won. First of all, they were winners. Even though they had such a wonderful approach, they still won. They didn't have to be jerks to win. So it's, again, I say that as just an example of, what do you need to win? I need a place where somebody is not breathing down my back. I need to work with people who are competent and passionate and geeks. I need to work with people who read. That might sound crazy being in journalism, but no. You'll be surprised who's not reading. I need to work with people who read. So the first thing, evaluate what you need to move forward. So that's looking at what did work and also what didn't work. Money. Now, we're not going to be airy-fairy about this. What your next step looks like is a direct reflection of how much money you have in the bank. It determines the types of risks you can take. It determines how long you can wait for that perfect opportunity. You have to fund your dreams. And the best time to fund it is right now, before you need to. I was talking to somebody who was in a desperate situation. But when I was asking them, all right, what steps are you taking? They're talking about, oh, I need to I need to make a website. I said, absolutely not. You need to get money in the door today because the rent is due. So money shows you what is urgent, right? How much money do you have? So it's a real reflection of, what is your runway? If you stopped getting a check today, how long could you go without getting a check with the lifestyle that you have? And I'm not talking about the oodles and noodles lifestyle, because that's not realistic. So I always say, what you think your monthly expenses are, add $1,000 to it, because we don't be doing the math right, me included. And how long can you go without making any money? And if you don't have enough runway, because it's taking people at least 6 months, most Americans, it's taking at least 6 months to find a job. It is not far-fetched for it to take a year to find a job, like real talk. Then you have to pull multiple levers at the same time. So you have to triage your most immediate need right now. So if you don't have enough money, you got to go find that money. You got to be on Fiverr. You got to create an offer and send it to all of your friends and see if you can get some customers in the door. You might not have the luxury of waiting to get another job. You might have to be applying for jobs while also trying to make money right now, immediately. And that also helps you buy time, so you don't have to get any old job that you hate, get underpaid, all of that stuff. It can help buy you time so you can get the job that you actually love and continue the trajectory of your life. So again, understanding your numbers determines what risks you can take. Maybe the first step, though, too, the numbers also tell you if you need to pay down debt. I saw something from the Washington Post that right now, and they're talking about, are we going to go in a recession? Are we not? That paying down your credit card is one of the best things that you could do right now. Or you might need to ask for a raise depending on the stability of the industry that you're in. Or you might need to get another job. You might need to start putting feelers out there for a bigger, better job that pays you more. Again, we're not just trying to be inspirational. We're trying to be very practical. I'm trying to be practical in this matter. And transparently, I'm good with my personal finances when I had a traditional job, but business-wise, I have not been great with the paperwork side of it. There's so much. So I went and got help. I'm good at making money. I can go out in this world and shake some trees and make some money. I am not good at the back end and the administrative part of it and putting it in a spreadsheet. I can do it. I have the ability and the aptitude to do it. I have not. I need to go get help. So I went and got some help. And I have a team now to help me figure myself out. Dot I's, cross T's. There's no shame. No shame. P is for personal brand. So what do you want to be known for? So in the journalism space, everybody's a storyteller, but you know who else is a storyteller? Everybody in the PR space. You know who else is a storyteller? Everybody on social media. You know who else is a storyteller? Everybody on YouTube. Like everybody's a storyteller. That's too generic. I need to understand why employers should, why you are the best and only choice for this thing that you are hoping to get. So just drilling down and getting very clear about what your value proposition is. And you can take a look at what people have complimented you for. If it's really hard for you to like think about yourself in that way, what do you love? What lights you up? What do you want to be known for? So I Googled myself recently, and thankfully now everything is all the stuff that I'm doing now, but you go to the news tab and it's all the stories that I used to cover. So this murder, this fire, this home invasion. And it's like I was doing the things in terms of covering the stories that I didn't want to be known for. So if your job entails certain things that you don't want to be known for, then don't put that on Front Street when you're selling yourself, right? And so when I say selling yourself, is you got to tell your story out there. You've got to, it's not enough for you to personally know how you add value. You have to communicate that in many ways. You got to communicate that in person. When you're going to events, you got to communicate that on social media. And I'm talking about LinkedIn. And everybody in the community, the next best thing community, they know I talk about LinkedIn a lot. I'm sure everybody's annoyed with me, but if LinkedIn hadn't put money in my pocket just because I share my value proposition there every single week, then I wouldn't talk about it so much because I'm not really that social media girly. But LinkedIn has changed the game for me. And it's because I use it and I use it strategically. And it's to tell people what I want to be known for. People cannot help you if they don't know who you are and what you can do. They can't help you. People want to help, but they can't if you don't know what you want to do. So what, and when you're in the midst of all these things happening, it is actually the hardest question. What do you want? What do you want to do? It is really, truly one of the hardest questions. O is for organize. And that is all about creating a game plan and then working that plan consistently. Working it when you don't feel like it, working when you already did the post and nobody engaged with it, working it when it's boring, when you hear crickets. Do you know how many times I try to talk to y'all and y'all don't say nothing to me? I put in all this effort. And y'all don't say nothing to me. I still got to do it. I still have to show up consistently. So we have all of these inputs. We put all of those inputs in a game plan and we work that plan consistently. W is for widen. I'm talking about your network. I feel really cozy right here at home. Very cozy. Can't stay here. Got to go outside. I feel when I'm outside, I feel real cozy with just being around Black women alone. Real cozy. Can't just do that. So we have to, you don't know where your blessing is going to come from. And what I know is that my blessing has come from so many different places. And because I have those receipts, I walk through the world in such anticipation for what is to come, and really believing that blessing is just around the corner. And it can even come, catch this, it can even come from somebody that you're not even really checking for. You might not really like. It literally can come from anywhere. It can come from anywhere. It can come from places that you least expect. It can come from people who weren't checking for you before, who overlooked you, and now they've circled back because you've got something that they need. It can come from anywhere, and I allow it. Hands open, heart open. I allow the blessings to come from anywhere, and I allow the Lord to use anybody they want. Let the Lord use you. Um, it can come from somebody that you haven't even heard from in a long time. There's a woman that I hadn't talked to. We were actually cool. Um, and I hadn't talked to her in many years. She had seen my post because I was exercising my personal brand on LinkedIn, didn't even really engage with it very much, reached out to me for a speaking engagement. That's a speaking engagement, if you follow me on Instagram, that I talked about that I did in Philly in February for Black History Month. And it went really well. And I got paid more than I've ever gotten paid for any speaking engagement. Now, in terms of the money, it's in the grander scheme of speakers and all of that. But for me, somebody who's a journalist who's spoken in the past and only could do it for free, and I didn't know how to navigate this space, she helped guide me through it, and it was a great experience. So you just never know. She blessed me. Bills are paid because of that. Hello, let the Lord use you. Let the Lord use you. I am okay with that. Okay, so widen your network. Again, you never know where your blessings can come from. Evolve. I'm talking about your mindset, child. Evolve your mindset. What are the stories that you are telling yourself? You know, when we talk about transitions, this is oftentimes people frame it like outwardly. I just need to go get this thing on the outside. But some of the biggest roadblocks are right here inside of us, inside of our hearts, or inside of our minds, of what we're repeating. Oh, if I don't work here, then I'm nothing. If I don't have this title, then I'm whack. You might not say it like that, but that's what you have embodied. That's what you believe. That's why you're white knuckling the places that are telling you that they don't want you there, or you're white knuckling the places that have an expiration date. You're white knuckling the places that have made you miserable. Is because you fail to evolve your mindset and say, guess what? If it's not here, it could be somewhere else. And guess what? This other place could be better. And just because I don't know how doesn't mean that the possibility doesn't exist. It could be better. It's good to have your worst case scenario. I am a big fan of having a worst case scenario planned out. If everything got jacked up, I am packing up and I'm going to be in my 40s with my parents. Thank God I have a safety net. I will go, and guess what? They love me. And guess what? My mom is an amazing cook. I will have warm meals. I will have love. I will have family around me. I have friends in the DC area. That's my worst case scenario. And I will probably beat myself up, but I will emerge from it and I will figure something else out. But it could also go amazing. And I could challenge myself and I could put myself out there and I can work with organizations I never imagined would even take my call 2 years ago. That can also happen too. So allow your plan A to look different. No, I am not a traditional journalist anymore, but the reason why I got into journalism, I am still operating in that same passion, in that same pocket, and I'm actually able to impact more people than I've ever been able to impact when I was on your news station every single night, in like very real, tangible ways. Okay, last one are results. Okay, so we don't just operate in hopes and dreams, we operate in facts and figures and data. And so after you have exercised consistent effort, only after you've exercised consistent effort, then you want to go back and reflect on what's working, what's not working. So for me, I'm in the space right now where I have to tweak my plan and how I'm operating. And I'm just trying to get enough sleep, honestly, so I can move in a non-emotional way. Right. So I've just been thinking a lot about things. I've been taking some podcasts. I'm reading some books right now. And so I am having to tweak my results. But this is what I do. This is how I move. is within this Empower framework. I'm always evaluating. I'm always looking at my money again, getting a team to help me right now. My personal brand, follow me on LinkedIn and see. Follow me. The way I mean, I don't even recognize myself sometimes, but it's like if I want to make any money, I can't keep quiet. Like it just doesn't work, right? So I have to let people know about my personal brand. I am always meeting people, going out there. I am O is for organize. I'm creating the plan, tweaking the plan consistently. I'm widening my network. So that's going out and meeting people. I'm getting outside of the house. I am going outside. I love inside, but I have to go outside. I'm constantly having meetings with people, constantly. Strangers. But guess what? Strangers have become friends where you don't even have to know what y'all are going to talk about. I get on calls with people refer people like, hey, you all should know each other, and trying to do the circle back, blah, blah, blah. Just getting it done and just talking to people and saying, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? And seeing maybe not in the moment there's a partnership, but maybe down the line they could be really helpful to you. That's how I get some of these speakers here, is because other people are like, oh, I think this person will be really good. We get on a call. I'm like, yes, doing this podcast is part of the widening my network, where I get to talk to somebody for 45 minutes. And that's been great. And also they're giving me all the tips and tricks. Evolving my mindset. And evolving my mindset also is about being around people who are steps ahead and also who have an evolved mindset. And so Brittany, of Curl Caps, just being around her, I was like, girl, you just, I'm about to pay for a trademarking package with my attorney so we can start trademarking something. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. I've got to be around these people, like thinking bigger than I could even imagine. I've got to consume different things that talk about future, that talk about things differently. I have one client it's a big tech company, and the way they think about solving this world's problems blow my mind. So evolving your mindset is also putting yourself in position where the same old regular degular schmegular conversations are not being had, that elevated conversations are being had, and then results. So if you are trying to take notes, don't you worry. I have got a brand new resource called Ready, Set, Next, your 7-step guide to unlocking new possibilities. It is going with this framework, but what it does is that it asks you specific questions for you to answer within this guide. And then it also gives you references to other podcast episodes if you're stuck about how to answer the question. And again, this framework has come from the common themes from more than 70 interviews in this podcast. It has come from the research, and it has come from my own personal experiences. And so all of that melded together, and it is your first step to really trying to recalibrate your GPS to getting you closer to where you want to be. That is just the information. And then the next best step is to join the community. So you can get this guide, Ready, Set, Next, your 7-step guide to unlocking new possibilities, when you join the wait list for the Next Best Thing community. What makes the Next Best Thing community different is that we have workshops, not just webinars. So it's not just like listening to a podcast. We're actually doing some hands-on work there. Also, there's an accountability piece and a networking piece, but it only works if you do. So if you sign up for it and you don't do the work, then, I don't know what to tell you, right? Because everything that I know, I give it away. Like everything that I know, I'm not a gatekeeper. I am sharing in one way or another. So we bring speakers in to do workshops. It's not just me yappity yapping. It's speakers who are experts in specific areas. And so the doors are not open, have not reopened yet. So join the wait list. You will be among the first to know when the doors reopen. In the meantime, you'll get this guide so you can start getting to work. And we'll keep you abreast when the doors open so we can work together. But that was a big theme for this year, was that it wasn't enough for me to just interview people. They've been wonderful and helpful. I was like, I think we need to take it a step further and facilitate doing the work, because what I know to be true in this environment, again, is that there's just a smaller room for error. That's how I'm assessing where we are right now. Things are changing really fast. We have to dot our I's, we have to cross our T's. I am getting help doing it myself because I don't know how to do it all myself. And I think it's foolish to try to do it all yourself. And what I'm hoping to do is to build out this community to where you can operate in your gift. You can say, hey, this is my gift here. I am an attorney and I help estate planning. So when somebody needs to write a will, because even young people need wills, right? When people need to write their will, oh, sis, let's get on a call. How much does that cost? Let me pay. Because that's how I run my business. My business is run with, I'm working with other small businesses, other people who I met. So my financial person is ex Wall Street. Her and her team, ex Wall Street. And I needed a CPA because the woman I was working with was playing in my face, and they're like, "We got you. Problem solved." You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what it's going to take, because the main systems are all crumbling before our eyes. We have to lean on each other's expertise to navigate this moment in time indefinitely. So we are smart people. We are educated people. We have resources. You go out and you build your community. I'm going out and building my community. Let's merge our communities together to see how we can help each other out. But we got to be there for each other. As Lydia Bonilla said, we are wired to be in community. It is part of our human nature. And with all the hate going on, it's really trying to push us into isolation. And to buck that, I think the Revolutionary Act is saying, no, I'm not going to be in isolation. I'm actually going to be around people. I'm actually going to not just be there, but I'm going to do my part and serve. Because when you show up excellently, you give me permission to show up excellently. But if you are excellent, I am excellent, we can take care of each other. It's when people don't, hold their weight and they're starting to play around, then we gotta find a place for them to exit. I'm just being honest. This is all work. It is all work. It is hard work. And if you are ready to do the work, I'm ready to join you in doing the work, because I'm out here, girl, child, bro. I am out here. And this is no fun unless folks can come along. So that's today's episode. Please like, subscribe, share this with a friend. If any episode ever resonated with you, please let me know in the comments. Hit me up on Instagram, Next Best Thing Pod on Instagram. Let me know. It's really helpful if there's someone you want to hear. If there's something you're struggling with that you want me to bring somebody on to talk about, hey, that's what I do. Curating conversations. That's what I do. All right. I hope that you are hopeful. Honestly, seriously, a lot of people are having a really hard time right now. Really hard time. And a lot of people are having to humble themselves or beating themselves up silently because they lost a job or money has run out, or they're saying, I should have done this or I didn't do that. Look, today's the best day to do something, to vote for yourself. You are where you need to be. And the hardship is temporary. It's temporary. Let's work together. What are we doing today? I'm going to love on you, but I'm also going to put my foot in your butt a little bit too, because it's just too hard to give yourself a moment to really feel it? And then what's one step we can take today to vote for ourselves in the future? The movement that actually moves the needle, not the window dressings, the thing that actually moves the needle. Who do you need to reach out to and say, hey, do you have such and such available? Are you going to put a LinkedIn post out to talk about the value you add, and not, hey, I'm looking for a job, would love to have a coffee? What value do you add? Are you about to, get rid of some of that humility, especially women? I'm so excited, joyful, humbled. Can we just throw that out? Okay? You're an expert. Show some expertise. Show us what you're an expert in. Go ahead and teach us something. Your tribe will find you. We got to buy you some time, but your tribe will find you. And I said this in a talk I gave this weekend, and this is the title of a talk. One of the talks I give is "Your Next is Within Reach." I don't just believe that. I know that to be true. All right. We're going to continue the conversation next week with where we're going to be talking about, we have two people that are talking about ways that they navigated the job market and how you can too. That's next week. See you then. Thanks for listening to The Next Best Thing with Andrea Cline-Thomas, a Mountain Court Media production. The music was written, recorded, and produced by Gavin Casey, also known as Dark Purple. Now, if you like what you heard, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and write a comment on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to share it with friends. I hope this episode helps you on your journey. See you next time.